Warzone might be getting cancelled or discontinued for good.
It's the best day ever!
And we also have some new Modern Warfare 4 leaks. So the other day I posted a video compiling a load of Modern Warfare 4 leaks that will be down in this video's description regarding multiplayer maps, regarding new DMZ 2 information, as well as the full campaign plot. I'll leave a link to that video in the description and on screen if you want to check it out after you are done with this one. But literally the very moment I posted that video, leaks came out simultaneously with its publishing. So reliable leaker, the Ghost of Hope, said exclusive details for Modern Warfare 4, which is obviously going to be apparently Call of Duty 2026 by Infinity Ward. Now obviously these are leaks and rumors, so we need to take it with a massive grain of salt. Like always, even though the Ghost of Hope is generally speaking very reliable, of course things can always go wrong behind the scenes or plans can change. We are literally a couple years out now, we don't even have COD 2025 yet, so many of these plans, even if they're 100% true right now, can change drastically in a matter of minutes, and of course things can be easily misinterpreted through word of mouth. But he said there is apparently going to be no old gen support, so Xbox One as well as PS4. So in my prior Modern Warfare 4 video, I talked about how it's being reported that COD 2025 Black Ops 7, as we're getting 2 Black Ops games back to back, will apparently be coming to last gen consoles still. Maybe that's going to be the final year, or will it extend to Modern Warfare 4? Only time will tell. And typically, Infinity Ward games are where we see a big engine upgrade, so it could be that they're going to be doing a big engine overhaul for Modern Warfare 4, so we might be moving to a new version of the Call of Duty HQ, a completely new engine. I just hope that they are successful in making the new engine feel different, because I feel like just all of the Call of Duties since Modern Warfare 2019, apart from Black Ops Cold War because it was using a different engine, have just felt way too similar, and it's a massive problem, and it's even affecting Black Ops 6 in my opinion, and I honestly hope we move away from the COD HQ in the future. I know it's easier for the developers to develop, apparently, because they can easily transfer things between the applications, but I want Treyarch games to feel like Treyarch games and Sledgehammer games to feel like Sledgehammer games, not just them all feeling like offshoots of Modern Warfare. But honestly, I'm not sure if I believe the no old gen support. I know it has been literally years and years and years since the new gen consoles now. However, there's still a massive player base on the Xbox One and the PS4, a huge player base, and that's why they've not moved away from them yet. And yeah, I would typically expect them to move away in 2026 with Modern Warfare 4, because it's definitely time to move on. But we know that Call of Duties are now going to be getting ported to the Switch too, and because of that, they're going to be making a much less graphically capable version of these games. And if they're going to be doing that anyways, then why not just bring it over to the last gen consoles as well, port it over there, because they're going to have to be doing it for the Switch too anyways. I understand some people say people just need to move on, etc., and I agree to an extent, but it just isn't that easy for some people, especially over the years with scalpers. I know they're readily available now, but even then, I guess because so many games are still being released on the PS4 and Xbox One, people haven't felt that incentive to move on. Honestly, even if hope is right now, it doesn't necessarily mean this is always going to be the case. For Black Ops 3, for example, they planned on having no last gen support until last second. They scraped together an awful version in a matter of the last couple months before release, and something could happen again for Modern Warfare 4. Maybe it isn't planned, but somewhere along the lines, their analytics and how many people are still on last gen indicates to them they still need to release a version of it there as well. I hope we do get away from last gen, but like I say, it wouldn't surprise me if we still see them on last gen, but we will have to wait and see. Hope did also say the traditional UI is going to be like older games, more traditional than Black Ops 6, and I really hope so. I hate the new user interface that's like a streaming service that you have to scroll through. The way it used to work back in the day was perfect. You could get to everything so easily and load into a match and invite friends so easily. Now it just feels so complicated. Honestly, I don't understand it. I absolutely despise it, and I can't believe it's stuck out for so long. And I hope this isn't just the menu UI, but I hope it's also going to be the HUD and everything like that in the games to make it simpler. I know now we have a customizable HUD in Black Ops 6, but they did actually want to do a fully customizable HUD where you can move about everything on screen and change it to whatever size you want, but that would just crash the game, and they haven't managed to get that working. But I hope they can properly get that working by the time that COD 2026 swings around. Now, speaking of the engine upgrade, apparently the engine is being overhauled to address address Modern Warfare 2's problems like visual clutter, etc. He says the biggest W isn't just the old gen support, but also them removing visual clutter that we received with the Modern Warfare 2 engine. Can't wait to hopefully not have forced anti-aliasing in the game. So yeah, I really hope they do away with a lot of the nonsense in the recent games. People felt like Modern Warfare 3 was a much more streamlined and clean version of Modern Warfare 2 essentially, and I hope they get it right with Modern Warfare 4. Like I talked about in my last leaks video, apparently there's been lots of changes in leadership at Infinity Ward, and I hope that the game is actually going to feel like it has an impact this time, because honestly I'm not really hopeful after seeing Modern Warfare 2 and 3. I'm bored of Modern Warfare, and I'm not really sure what they can do to rope myself and others who might be feeling burnt out on the modern setting of Call of Duties, and what they can do to rope them back in. I'm not sure. Hope did say being developed on dev kits for the next Xbox, which is very interesting, and that could again indicate that there is going to be no last gen support, although if there is, that would absolutely be wild if it's going to be available on literally 3 generations of consoles. But here is the biggest thing. He says no Warzone 3 if Verdansk fails to retain current/returning players. So as you know, Verdansk is about to return to Warzone with Black Ops 6's Season 3, which is now going to be releasing on the 3rd of April. It was initially going to be the 20th of March, but it got delayed by 2 weeks. And the reason it got delayed is because they're trying to get Verdansk right. Recently, they did a consultation where YouTubers and other people got invited to play early, not for a recording or anything like that, but literally just for feedback, because they're trying to relight the match of the initial Warzone success. Not only are they bringing back Verdansk, but they are reverting practically everything to when Warzone was at its peak, and they're reverting all the features to the favorite ones that people liked, and that's why they've really been holding off on bringing Verdansk back. It's been in development for a long time. I know we've just had Urzikstan for a long time, and Warzone's literally had practically no updates for the past couple of years pretty much, and Warzone's player base has consistently been declining pretty much since Black Ops Cold War. Since then, the player base has just been dropping off ever since 2021. We've had 4 years of decline, and clearly it's showing, and some people argue that's why Warzone hasn't been getting many updates for the past year, because it's just not getting the player base anymore, it's not earning the profits it needs to, and they're now starting to prioritize and strip things back to multiplayer, etc. I think that's partially the case, but I also think it's because they've been working so hard on just this big Verdansk update, like I say, not just bringing back the map, but trying to ensure when they bring back the map, the game isn't buggy, and also all of the systems are how people like, and it can have the best possible chance to relight the match of its initial success. And I think they've really been careful in working on this, and that's why we've not been seeing updates, because they have said they're saving all of the quality of life improvements and the changes in the systems to this update that's coming up with Season 3. So I think they're just not even bothered. They've just written off the past year. We're not going to do much. We're just going to focus on making sure when we have the dance back, it's going to bang. But to be honest, I just don't see Warzone having a comeback. I think the problems with the mode do not stem from no Verdansk, for example. I think people are just getting bored of Battle Royales, and especially Warzone specifically. People who do like Battle Royales prefer other ones out there, and unfortunately, they're just getting stomped by the competition, and Warzone's just done absolutely terribly in consistent updates and fun things and new reasons to jump in and play. For the last couple of years, like I said, there's just not been much going on, and they've really suffered, and they've done lots of bad gameplay designs over the years as well, such as Warzone 2, where they changed everything and people didn't like it. Now, I do think there's going to be a peak with Warzone very soon, with Verdansk returning and also all of the gameplay systems being reverted to when people liked them the most, and taking the best of all of the systems over the years. I think people will like that, but again, I don't think the only problem is the systems and the gameplay changes they made over the years. I do also think people just feel bored of Warzone in general, and I think especially with Verdansk returning, I think it will get a boost because of nostalgia. People will feel excited for the first couple weeks, but then they're going to realize, wait, this is just Verdansk. I literally played this for over 2 years, and Verdansk was around for a long time because it literally spanned all the way into Cold War as well. People were begging for a new map back then because they were very bored of Verdansk, and they're bringing it back for nostalgia. And like I say, I think the nostalgia will work, but only temporarily. I think it'll just continue to decline after that initial boost. I think because they haven't had Warzone updates for the past year, I think that's because they do have plans to have consistent updates for when Verdansk returns, and they're actually going to have consistent events as well as point of interest changes every single season for the rest of the game. Obviously, it's so weird that Verdansk is releasing with Black Ops 6. It really should release with COD 2026 Modern Warfare 4, since it's an Infinity Ward game. However, obviously, the reason it's releasing now is because the game might not even make it until Modern Warfare 4, according to these rumors. It might literally get cancelled or discontinued before it even has the chance to make it then. So they need Verdansk now as a last-ditch effort to try and restore the game. But like I say, I think the nostalgia won't won't work. I don't think Verdansk is particularly special or miles better than the other maps we've seen. I mean, Our Mazda is a good map in my opinion. I just think that there's just a lot of nostalgia goggles with Verdansk, and when it returns, like I say, people will get bored of it quickly because they already played it for years before. It wasn't even like it was just there for a year initially. It was literally there for years. So much so people got bored of it. And there are other rumors now that Avalon, which is actually the Warzone map developed by Treyarch that was supposed to be releasing with Black Ops 6, which has been swapped out with Verdansk because I guess they were worried of bringing a new map in that people don't like and they're trying to capitalize on the nostalgia. Well, apparently that's been either delayed way beyond COD 2025 because apparently it was initially going to release with COD 2025 instead, but it might not even ever release now because they're just going to have Verdansk, or it might just be pushed back a lot, so maybe it'll release spring this time next year instead of the launch of COD 2025 or Season 1. I really hope they don't scrap that content. It'll be very unfortunate. Yes, we can still play it in the multiplayer experiences, and Fireteam will probably come either in Black Ops 6 or Black Ops 7, and we'll see more maps in Black Ops 7, not just in Black Ops 6's future seasons set there, and it's probably going to get used in Zombies as well as some sort of open world Outbreak experience, maybe even Outbreak merged with round-based. It would be so cool to play open world round-based. That's definitely possible, but it still would be sad if that's the case because the developers have put all this effort into making the map and making it with Warzone in mind. Yes, they still had the other modes in mind, multiplayer and zombies, but it was mainly made for Warzone, and it would have been better if those same resources that went into the map could have gone into a zombies exclusive map, for example, to make the atmosphere better and it play better in zombies as well if it was just made for zombies in mind, instead of having to make the layout work with all of the modes. So yeah, honestly, I do think Warzone is in danger. What people forget is that Warzone only earns money if people buy microtransactions, and the player base has dropped off so much so that even if more people are playing it than the premium titles, it won't be as profitable. You have to also understand that the people buying microtransactions are also likely buying the main releases and playing them too. Yes, a lot of people just buy the main releases who just play Warzone, and they just buy it to level up weapons and camos, etc. before, the integration occurs. However, I don't think that's the case so much so anymore, and I don't think it converts as highly as it used to because Warzone has declined so much. So if many of these players stop playing Warzone or play a lot less Warzone considerably but are still playing Call of Duty and buying microtransactions at the same rate, whether it's Warzone, multiplayer, whatever, then Warzone literally becomes completely redundant. It will be deemed non-profitable, and then Activision will just focus on the premium releases, like how DMZ was free to play before, probably had a semi-decent player base, but it wasn't enough to drive microtransaction sales. That's why it's rumored it'll be a part of the premium Modern Warfare 4. You have to buy Modern Warfare 4 to get access to it instead of it being free next time. So honestly, I really think Warzone is on its last legs here. I don't think Verdansk is going to save it. I've just been gauging the excitement from Warzone or multiplayer YouTubers, and even they don't seem to be that excited for Verdansk. It seems like there isn't really much buzz in the community. Maybe once the marketing begins, there'll be a lot more. Now, of course, I and many others who don't really play Warzone and we care more about zombies, we're kind of looking forward to Warzone failing and it getting discontinued because we feel like it's tampered with the other modes, making them all feel very similar because, for example, a lot of the multiplayer maps and even zombies experiences like Urzikstan have just been taken from Warzone to make them feel less unique, and so many of the systems have been merged with Warzone to accommodate for that influx of players. And Hope says he hopes people know that if the game does discontinue, they won't put further resources into the other modes such as multiplayer and zombies. It will just mean a bunch of layoffs will happen, and I agree and disagree to an extent. If Warzone does get discontinued, definitely there will be layoffs, that's inevitable, but Microsoft are already laying off so many people, so I'm not sure how much that would actually change things. And I do think whilst there will be a lot of initial layoffs, maybe in the long run they will start rehiring for the other modes as well to try and prop them up, because we have seen now that Warzone has been getting less updates over the past couple of years, multiplayer has been getting updated a lot more consistently. Back when Warzone was at its peak, multiplayer was getting barely any maps. I mean, look at Modern Warfare 2 for example. It launched with literally no new maps for months and months. We just had a couple returning ones from Modern Warfare 2019, so they completely abandoned multiplayer in place of DMZ and Warzone. So to say that Warzone doesn't impact the resources for the other modes is absolute. Yes, it does. I mean, literally a lot of the Warzone developers, such as at Ravensoft, they used to work on other things. I mean, Ravensoft have helped with zombies a lot in the past, so some of those developers who used to maybe work on the other modes are now working on Warzone. So definitely if Warzone does get discontinued, yes, there will be layoffs, but certainly there will be some reallocation of resources, not just in terms of budget. Budget might get allocated to other modes instead, but also some developers will move on to other modes, and in the long run I do think they will start hiring more for the other modes. I mean, we're kind of going through an economic turmoil right now, and Microsoft have just been laying off people for the last couple of years since the acquisition pretty much. So I'm hoping we get through this. I don't think any of this is right. They really should be training. All of these developers are needed, and they just get dropped to like a dime. It really is sad. So yeah, I agree and disagree with that sentiment. I do think Zombies has a greater potential to shine if Warzone isn't around. I mean, for example, the Tomb doesn't even have an intro cutscene, and we might not even get an intro cutscene for Mansion. If we don't get any more intro cutscenes, maybe some of that budget has gone into trying to sell microtransactions, trying to sell stuff for Warzone instead. Now, the thing is, if Verdansk doesn't bring back players enough, I think there's a few different routes they can go down. A is, they still release Avalon maybe a year later, and they try another push with a new Warzone map, see how things go, and then slowly but surely, the game basically dies out, they stop updating it. Or maybe Verdansk just stays forever, they keep doing updates for it, map changes, and they really try hard with consistent changes for pretty much the rest of Black Ops 6's lifecycle, but maybe it just doesn't work either. In both of these scenarios, I think the game wouldn't just be cancelled, it wouldn't just go offline. I think the updates would just slowly trickle to a halt. I think they would always keep the servers on. I know many people have been pointing out to the fact that Warzone, the original, got shut down, but that was because it was in place of Warzone 2. Activision didn't want two versions of Warzone coexisting because they wanted people playing the latest version of Warzone so that they would buy the microtransactions. However, I think if Warzone isn't deemed profitable, they'll just stop doing updates for it, or just very few, instead of it just going offline. I think they'll still keep the servers running. Now, the thing is, because it's free to play, they don't have an incentive to keep them running, I guess, but personally, I think they will still keep them running. I mean, we look at DMZ, for example. This is a scenario I point to. Basically, DMZ was not earning enough revenue from microtransactions, and that's why it's now going to be paid with Modern Warfare 4, and it clearly didn't have a high enough player base that it needed. However, it's never been just cancelled. The servers are still there, you can still play it, it's very buggy, there's hackers now, and the mode is not in a good state, but the servers are still online. That's probably what's going to happen to Warzone. It'll just end up as this hacked mess, where it just doesn't get updates anymore. The other option is, obviously, it could just get fully shut down, and that's just that. They shut the servers off because they feel like, because it's free to play, they just want to focus players on buying the latest Call of Duties. I guess that is another possibility, but I just don't think this is going to be the case. I've seen some other people saying maybe they're just going to make all Call of Duties part of some free-to-play experience like Call of Duty Mobile or Call of Duty Online, where multiplayer, zombies, and even Warzone is all part of a free thing that gets consistently updated instead of switching games every single year. However, I think that will eventually happen. I think we're a very long way away, honestly, maybe a decade away. I think the fact that Warzone is at risk right now of shutting down shows that I don't think this free-to-play model is working for them, because they rely on just microtransactions, and if people aren't playing it, they're not going to be buying enough microtransactions, so it just gets discontinued. And earlier I mentioned the Switch 2, and there's actually been some rumors, since obviously they're having the Switch reveal soon, that they might be doing a stealth launch. Now, this is just a leak, so I don't know if this is true, but to nutshell, basically an accessory retailer seems to have leaked to a YouTuber that the Switch 2 is expected by companies to launch in April. This vaguely lines up with an old rumor that they are going to shadow drop it with no pre-orders to try and avoid scalpers. Now, this is a big rumor, but could very well be false, so take it with a huge grain of salt. But if it does drop in April, it's awful news, of course, for Season 3 and Verdansk's return, because a bunch of people will be getting a Switch 2 and playing on the Switch instead of this update, taking even more players away when they desperately need them. So, unless they plan on, now moving the COD HQ onto the Switch, but I don't think that is happening just yet. We'll see COD on Switch, I think, probably a year from now. Maybe COD 2025 will be the first one. Since they kind of signed that with Microsoft in a rush, it's probably taken them a couple years to try and build out an adequate studio and team to focus just on Switch ports. So yeah, this is all very crazy stuff, but what it means is that regardless of whether Warzone gets discontinued or not, they probably don't really have any plans for it for Modern Warfare 4, because they're all just waiting to see what happens with Verdansk returning. So it's all riding on how many players they get in. I assume there's going to be a big marketing push very soon. We know starting next week, March 10th, with the anniversary, they're going to start hyping it up. But yeah, in my opinion, I just don't think it's going to work. But let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below, and definitely check out that other Modern Warfare leaks video that will be linked below as well. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not here for latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.